All right, welcome back, guys, to the Daily Exchange. We've got Jimmy Song, my man himself. Welcome
Good
back.
to see you, man. It's been too long, and you had to come to New York.
I know, it's so good. But I had to come and see you, man.
Oh, well, I'm honored.
We've got this Binance hack, and they're pitching they're going to reorg Bitcoin. What do you think about all that?
Well, so it's very interesting because the math behind it. So if you study the game theory, it ends up that they really can't. Not without it costing them a lot of money. So it was interesting because they put out this feeler like about 30 blocks after the hack happened, or many hours, about 6 hours after it happened. So already there's 30 blocks that they would have to fund, right? 30 times 12 and a half Bitcoins is something like 450 Bitcoins, something like that they would have to fund these miners in order to get them to reorg.
Wow.
But that sounds okay because they stole 7,000, so 7,000 minus 450 naively looks like a savings of 6,550 Bitcoin. But that's not all though, because the thief is not going to stand still while they do all of it. And they're not. There's a multitude of things they can do. They can just trade out, right? Like and say, okay, here's Bitcoin. I want to trade out for Monero or something else, and whoever's left holding the bag, they're the one that gets screwed, right? Or they could do something else, which is they can incentivize miners on the other chain to keep going. So they can spend up to 7,000 Bitcoin doing that. So game theoretically, you end up having to spend at least a 30 blocks worth of rewards plus the 7,000 that they're going to spend. So it ends up being unprofitable. And this is true whether or not you steal 5 Bitcoin or 5 million Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. It will always be more profitable for the thief to just give away that money. And really, you're just giving it kind of to the miners. So, yeah, it was an interesting discussion, and I'm glad that we had it. But I think Binance realized very quickly that this wasn't a viable thing, and this is from what I've heard through the grapevine, this is what every hacked exchange has gone through. Is like, okay, well, can we reorg the chain to get the money back? And they realized very quickly that the game theory makes it so that it's not profitable for them at all, and they're not going to recover any of their coins, and it just ends up like sort of. It's kind of like at the same time when you're doing this, if you do that attack basically on the network, you're stopping traffic for everybody, right? Like it's like no one can do anything. So there's like a buildup of transactions and fees. In addition to that, if you do get miners to cooperate, well, what does the mining pool have to do? They can either disclose to everybody, okay, we're gonna mine this other chain, or they could not disclose and still use the hash power. If they're not disclosing, no one's going to see that. The people in the pool are going to be like, hey, what happened to our hash power? How come you're not paying us?
Yes.
So they'll either switch out or complain or something like that. So they won't have that kind of hash power. If they announce, then it's kind of like people that disagree will move out. So it ends up in kind of this weird territory where you have to think about the game theory of the mining pools as well, and they would have to spend a significant amount of, their social capital, if you will, in order to do that, and that's going to have a premium. So it's not just 7,450; it's probably a significant amount above that. And I was discussing with somebody about this yesterday, and they were saying, it would probably be cheaper for these people to just go and buy the mining pools than to bribe them that much, because like the costs become astronomical. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think it was ever possible to reorg the chain back in the day?
I mean, we have. So I think 2010, 2011, there was 1.83 billion Bitcoins created because of an integer overflow error. And they figured out how to create a transaction that did that. That was in the blockchain and about 4 or 5 blocks after that. But the community was basically like, no, that doesn't fly. So they basically reorged the chain that way, but that was more due to a bug. There are reorgs all the time, like 1 or 2 blocks, but I mean, it very, very rarely gets past that. So yeah, I mean, it's the game theory of it was designed just very, very well, and that's something that at the very least, hopefully your viewers can get, is that the brilliance of the design is in the game theory.
Yes.
It makes it very difficult to reorganize the chain, at least without it costing you enormous sums of money. So yeah.
And we've seen, we talked about this last time about the difficulty and this spiral happening, and the difficulty seems to correct. Hash power seems to have settled down, gone up, almost gone up a little bit, I would say potentially now. And now with this new price movement and its timing, this is that I've seen some graphs with that. It's like that blue zone. Do you think this is like sort of front running that theory or that thesis?
I'm not sure. It's hard to say, but I do know that hash power has been going up despite the more or less flatness in price over the last few months before this recent spike.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it makes it a lot more profitable at this point, and that's an interesting thing. Like how much old hash power is going to come on, how much more production there going to be. There are lots of global foundries that are, manufacturing these chips. A lot more players than Bitmain now. Bitmain's in some financial trouble from what I'm seeing. And there's a lot of other mining companies that are coming online. They're doing this, so it's as I predicted before, like the market's sort of correcting itself, and that's the beauty of it. If there's an inefficiency, people are going to exploit it and make money out of it. That's called profit and capitalism and all that stuff. So
okay, cool. And lastly, what do you think about this run? Do you think this is like the end of the winter, or do you think this might be? Some people are saying it might be an up and then a sharp down. Like, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. So my theory, at least as of yesterday, was that this was a face ripping rally. And if you're not familiar with that term, that's basically. A lot of shorts getting liquidated, and that causing sort of like a cycle of buying that ends up at a certain price. And I was subscribing to that theory in large part because of the Tether news from a few weeks ago. What you had was a big premium on Bitfinex for Bitcoin because everyone was trying to get the Bitcoin out. But what happened, what a lot of people think that happened is, if you're a trader and there's a big premium on Bitfinex and you think that premium will come back down, well, how are you going to trade that? You're going to short on Bitfinex and long somewhere else, right? And that's instant profit. You're as long as it settles back down, and then you do the reverse trade later, and then you get back to equilibrium, and you make whatever the spread is. So I think a lot of people were doing that, which caused an artificially high short position on Bitfinex. And they led the rally, right? And so when you have a face-ripping rally where there's a lot of shorts getting liquidated, it's essentially whales trying to take advantage of that. They sell at the top and then let it come down to sort of natural levels. So that was my theory as of yesterday. But what happened since yesterday is that it's gone up almost almost 8,000. I'm not sure if it's past that. I haven't checked in the last 2 hours. But it's possible that there's another thing at play, which is it might have started as a face ripping rally. But there might be enough sort of momentum with a lot of institutional buyers or somebody else. There's rumors of people that are trying to purchase like 6 digits of Bitcoins or something like that. That might be true. I don't know. But if that is true, you're not going to be able to buy 6 digits worth of Bitcoin, like 100,000 or more, without moving the price significantly. So that might be it too. But it's really hard to say. In other words, do your own research.
Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us again, my man, and appreciate the chat. How's your book going? Is that out now?
Yeah, it is. It was released 2 months ago. I'm doing a book signing here tomorrow.
And you got some big news coming up tomorrow. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, well, yeah, I just tweeted it out, but Joe Lubin and I are going to be doing CoinDesk Live, which is streamed on Periscope on Twitter. So we're going to have 20 minutes to talk about the bet from last year. And as many of you may know or may not know, we never finalized that bet, largely because of him. And I'm going to tell him that straight to his face. I emailed him, and I would email him. He wouldn't respond for 6 weeks, and then I'd email him like in 20 minutes, and then he wouldn't respond for 6 weeks. This has been going on for the last year. So we finally get to at least talk about it tomorrow, and hopefully he actually agrees to finalize the bet instead of just talking out of his butt. Yes.
That's exciting stuff. Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us again. And appreciate you. Guys, that's Jimmy's song. He's got a big, bit of a debate tomorrow. We'll see how that goes.
All right.
See you guys.